Do you think that these drones that are flying over New Jersey, do you think those belong to Iran or not? I mean, someone's lying here, I guess, is what I'm going to get after in a sec. Someone's lying about this, right? Who do they belong to? And we don't have any faith or trust in this administration or our government, obviously. That's kaput because of how they've treated the American people and what they've done to us, certainly under the Biden administration. But you've got this congressman who is a New Jersey congressman who happens to be Republican, who on Wednesday, he said that the mystery drones over the Garden State, he said that they were Iran. His name is Jeff Van Drew. Oh, very good name, I must say. Jeff Van Drew. He said, I guess they very possibly could be from Iran. Now, I'll get into a little bit more of what exactly Jeff Van Drew has said about this, but the Pentagon has, of course, predictably immediately come out and refuted this, saying, these are not from a foreign country or from an adversary. So if they know that these don't belong to Iran, then they probably know who they belong to. Are you tracking with me here? But this is almost like deja vu for me, folks, because do you remember the Chinese spy balloon that flew over Montana, was spotted, and it set off a similar news cycle that we're experiencing right now, and it continued to travel all the way across the United States of America. And the U.S. government and the Pentagon wouldn't come clean about that either. They changed their story at least a half dozen times on it. John Kirby coming out and saying one thing before he contradicted himself with the next thing that came out of his mouth, or certainly the next day or the day after that was some new story. I mean, they're trying to invent some story to feed the American people. And I understand in terms of national defense and so on and so forth, there are certain within reason. This is the problem. We don't live in a reasonable world anymore, run by reasonable people that are in the government. But, there are reasons that some of these things remain secret that they wouldn't tell us about. But you can't do this. You just can't do this. So here we are again. This is going to dominate the news cycle. Who knows what they're going to end up telling us in the end? But the point is, it won't be the truth. But either Jeff Van Drew here is lying to us or the Pentagon's lying to us. But certainly they're not being honest. And they know. I think the Pentagon knows. So I guess the question is, do they belong to our government? Is that what we think is going on here? They're running drills or testing our own equipment over New Jersey for some reason. And why would they do it like that? And why would they create this type of turmoil in the country, in New Jersey, with people looking up and thinking they're looking at alien ships that are coming to invade planet Earth? Well, I'll get to it in a minute. It's just amazing to me, folks, what our government is capable of figuring out and what they aren't capable of figuring out. And it's awfully convenient for them, the things that they can't get to the bottom of, like the cocaine in the White House. You would think that'd be a pretty big deal, because if somebody could smuggle in cocaine and get up to the library where the first family, the president and his family, have access to and spend time in, it wasn't some big public area. They could get something else in their weapons. They could get, some kind of poison, obviously, in there. And that just went away. They just couldn't get to the bottom of it. The president of the United States' life could very well have been put in danger, but they just couldn't figure out who brought the cocaine in there. We know why. They knew exactly who it was. They destroyed the evidence because they didn't want us to know. It probably belonged to Hunter Biden. But, that was a mystery that they just couldn't solve. But, when it came down to your grandmother, Rosa, who was 96 years old, who was there on January 6th, she walked through the open doors of the Capitol with her walker, and she had a cell phone on her. Well, the FBI and our government could track her down while she was, on another vacation in Timbuktu and arrest her because of cell phone data. So they could find her. She was a real threat. But when it comes to drones flying over the United States of America, over New Jersey, we just don't know. We're clueless. Where is Pete Buttigieg? Where's Pete Buttplug? I mean, his name is so hard to say, folks. It's just very difficult. Pete Buttigieg. But the Buttman, Pete Buttman, where is he to save the day? I mean, he was there immediately with a response. Now leads the Department of Transportation, of course. But when private citizens were flying their own drones over North Carolina in the aftermath of the most recent hurricane there to try and help with rescue efforts, because we know that FEMA, who we fund, was not doing their job. In fact, if they detected or felt that you might be a Trump supporter, they skipped over your house altogether. We learned that. So you had private citizens doing what private citizens do. We don't need the government. Without the government, we came to one another's aid. And so they were up there with their drones trying to locate, bodies, people stranded, people buried, people who were going to die if they weren't found. And Pete Buttigieg came out and said, I am ordering. What did he say? He said, he ordered, the states to implement a ban on private drones flying, to suspend the private citizens' right or ability to fly these drones. So, where's Pete? If these don't belong to Iran, they don't belong to a foreign country, they must be ours. So why isn't Mayor Pete out there giving a statement saying, hey, I command you to stop flying your drones, America? Because they're not, but they don't belong to the American citizenry. That's why. So they either do belong to Iran, as Jeff Van Drew was saying, or they belong to our own Pentagon and the U.S. government, and they don't want to tell us what's going on. But I'm just so sick of it. I'm so sick of these liars and frauds. But anyway, he went on Fox News. Jeff Van Drew did. Good name, sir. And he said, I'm going to tell you the real deal. Iran launched a mothership that contains these drones. It's off the East Coast of the United States of America. They've launched drone. Now, this guy's a congressman. He's not a stupid person. He has access, depending on what committees and so on and so forth he sits on. He has, even without being on some specific committee, he's got access to information that you and I don't have. He's closer to the issue than we are. We're sitting here looking up at the sky, if you live in New Jersey, saying, what is going on? This guy might have some information. So, I mean, he goes out there and he gives this information. And he goes on to say, he stood by his statements. He sent a letter to President Biden imploring him to take action and laying out circumstantial evidence supporting his claims. He said, we have information that a sea-based Iranian drone mothership is currently missing from port, and that its embarkation timeline would align with the appearance of the New Jersey drones. I mean, this guy's a sleuth. Where's our government doing this work? I mean, I'm sorry, folks, and they're trying to downplay this like drones aren't dangerous and so on and so. If drones aren't dangerous, then why are there laws forbidding us from flying them wherever and whenever we want? And what types of drones are these? I'll get into some of the descriptions of these anyway in just a second. But Van Drew here, he added that Iran has previously sailed ships near the U.S. and that the country has a sophisticated partnership with China over drone technology. Now, this is very alarming, folks, because China is on the move right now. Many people suspect that they might actually decide to invade Taiwan before Trump gets in there. Now, I can't predict if that's going to happen, but we know that the intent of China is to invade Taiwan and seize it. It will happen at some point. We just don't know when. But they're preparing for it, and they are prepared for it. They're constantly running drills to do this, and they are our greatest enemy. Now, they, of course, have an alliance with Iran, who is another enemy, because they just simply hate the West, and they certainly hate the United States of America. And so, we do not think about this because, you know what, as Americans, this is the one constitutional role the government is supposed to fulfill, right? They do all this other cultural crap and experimentation on us, and they do all these things and all the socialism they've incorporated in America, all the communism and Marxism. These are not their duties as defined by the Constitution. Our Constitution limits the power of the government. It limits what they can do, and yet they've gone well beyond that. All these unelected bureaucrats ruining our lives, trying to ban automobiles that are gas-powered by 2035 and so on. So this is not your role, you fascists. But this is their job. Your job is to protect the United States of America. This is your job. And I don't feel comfortable because it doesn't feel a lot like they can do that job, does it? And now, even if these drones don't belong to Iran, the fact that he is admitting that this has happened in the past, we're not aware of this. Most of us aren't. We're not paying attention. But these boats are because we think, and it's true because of our unique geographical location, that has been a great benefit to the United States of America. It's one of the reasons we've been able to become great. It's God's gift. We have seas on either side of us that protect us from our enemies, unlike Europe, where you just go across the border and can invade and so on and so forth. And so we are blessed in that way and protected, but technology's changed. And the ocean is not so big anymore. It's not such a big barrier between us and enemy nations. You have these drones. Obviously, you have these ships and so on and so forth, this technology. And so the world has gotten smaller and it is more dangerous. And we have had, 10 to 20 million illegals who've come into the country. And they're not coming from Mexico. They're not all Mexicans. They're coming from places like Iran. They're coming from wherever they want to come because we don't vet them at all, obviously. So this is going on. And so I'm just telling you, the alarm bells are going off for me because we are not safe right now. We are not safe right now. We do not know who is in the country. We don't know what is being planned. We do not even know how vulnerable we are. And this should, we have to demand an answer for this. We have to demand an answer for this, and we deserve an answer for this. Why can't you tell? What are they? What are they? Or that, I mean, and that's all they have to say. Look, yeah, we're running drills. We're running drills. Don't pay attention. And then we would say, whatever. Okay, keep running them. But they're not telling us that. They're just playing a game with the American people. So anyway, Van Drew's, he says, and of course, it's the policy of the Iranian government to bring about the destruction of the United States. Bingo. Yes, he's exactly right. Van Drew's startling claim comes as officials have continually told Americans the drones pose no threat. Pose no threat. Okay. Anyway, these sightings started on November 18th. So it's December now. Depending on when you're listening to this, I'm recording this right now on December 11th. You'll probably get around to watching this December 12th or December 13th, which means that, for around 3 weeks, this has been going on now. And it's continued every night since. Sightings have been reported from dawn through dusk, with sometimes as many as 180 reports coming in per night. Last Sunday alone, there were 49 reported sightings, mostly in New Jersey. And apparently this technology is striking people as sophisticated. New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy explained that every time officials begin to trying to track them, the drones go dark. Officials say the drones are about 6 feet in diameter, stay in the air for up to 7 hours at a time, and can cover at least 15 miles. And so for them to tell us there's no credible threat is negligent of them to do so. Totally irresponsible. Anyway, speculation about the object's origins has ranged from Chinese spy operations to visitors from other planets to top secret experimental military tech operated by the U.S. government. But anyway, the point is you've got one congressman who's willing to stand up and say, this is coming from an Iranian mothership. We have looked, we have access. We're spying on them, obviously, with our satellites, and we see that ship is not there. So either Van Drew is lying to us, and what reason? Who has a greater motivation to lie to the American people? Why would Van Drew go on Fox News and lie about this? There's no reason. There's no motivation to come out and do that. He's a Republican, congressman from New Jersey, and he's saying, hey, this is what I'm telling you. But then you have the Pentagon that comes out, and we know they're protecting all kinds of secrets. But we just can't get to the bottom of the Pentagon. It's not Iranian, and it's not foreign. So are we supposed to read between the lines then? It's ours. Just come out and say it's ours. But, cocaine in the White House, they can't solve that mystery. That's too difficult for them. The COVID origins. We just happen to be funding effectively an illegal, gain of research function via Fauci at a nearby Wuhan lab of virology, which happens to be working to create the very COVID viruses from bats that was released on the world. And our government tells us we have no idea what's going on here. We just can't get to the bottom of it. In fact, we don't think it's possible early on, right? But no. There's no way it came from the Wuhan lab of virology where they are actually making these COVID viruses. No, no, no. This is a naturally occurring thing that just came from a bat. You know, it lost a tooth and somebody ate it when it was in the soup, and that one tooth carried the virus, and that's how it got in the world, right? I mean, come on. I am science. You cannot question me. So they couldn't figure that one out. They can't figure any of these things out. But anyway, back to my point. Mayor Pete, I'm begging you, get out there and fight for the American people. Fight for the American people. You know, they couldn't get to the bottom of the chemical spill in East Palestine, Ohio. They couldn't get to the bottom, really, of what the heck was going on in Hawaii with the wildfires that came through Maui and destroyed the popular oceanfront village there. I forget the name right now. I've been there. But it's amazing. But your grandma, Rosa, they can get her, folks, because, you know, she's the threat to America. These drones, these unidentified drones that have this special technology, that's not a threat. But your grandma with her walker in the Capitol who walked through open doors on J6, that's the threat to America. I mean, this is crazy, folks. We've got a lot of work to do, and we are doing it. There's a lot of good things happening. But I just want to tell you that. Someone's lying to us and so on and so forth. But first, attention parents, I've got an early Christmas gift for you. We've all been there. 1 minute your kiddo is bouncing off the walls, and an hour later, they're super sick. You feel helpless, and it can turn your plans upside down, especially on vacation. After thousands of customer requests, the wellness company has just launched the Kids Medical Emergency Kit. You've heard me talk about this, and it's great because you don't have to deal with emergency illnesses in panic mode anymore. You can avoid the ER visits, and you can have 6 critical medications at your fingertips to treat 20-plus illnesses for issues like strep throat, ear infections, lice, respiratory illnesses. And the Kids Emergency Kit has been hand-selected by the wellness company's medical board and includes chewable amoxicillin, dissolvable ivermectin, and an optional EpiPen, and more. This includes a detailed guidebook and will guide you step-by-step in these emergencies. Ordering your kit is simple. And only parents, by the way, can order this for their children. You fill out an intake form, and you will get a verification call for consent. Then it's delivered to your door. Don't wait until you're in the middle of a crisis and avoid late-night urgent care runs. Order your kids' emergency kit today and remove panic from your life. And if 1 or 2 of the scripts run out, there's a replenishment option to restock only what you need, so you don't have to order the whole kit over again. Go to dailycloudhealth.com and grab your kids' emergency kit right now. Use code DrewAllen to save up to $40 at checkout. You know, it's amazing. The wellness company here, you know, they require, you know, parental consent. You know, only the parent can order the child something that actually does help them, these medicines. But of course, the Democrats are currently fighting and arguing before the Supreme Court that, you know, a 2-year-old is capable of altering their genitalia without their parents' consent. It's amazing, right? Backwards world. I'm going to get into a lot of stuff here. I want to get into Caitlin Clark. I'm not surprised, but I am disappointed. And I want to get into, you know, the Daniel Penny case. He was found not guilty, and that's huge. And I want to explain to you something rather profound that we can extract from the left's reaction to Daniel Penny and that particular case. Daniel Penny, the Marine who, pardon me, saved people's lives, potentially on a subway from a violent, mentally ill, homeless individual who was spiraling out of control. And just as a personal note, I don't want to be sitting here fixated on the script today. You know, I just want to have fun and relax, and I need to relax. I'm on baby watch. I'm on baby watch. Don't worry. I am still obviously fully capable of watching what's happening around the world and reporting to you. But I'm on baby watch. Any day here, my second daughter could be born. Any day. The wife is 9 months pregnant. The due date is January 7th. So any time between now and then or after or whatever, that baby could be here. And part of me is just expecting, I'm listening, like, even as I do the show for, you know, we got to go to the hospital. We got to go. But anyway, I'm very excited about that. Huge, huge life-changing event for me, the second child. But that's what's going on. What do you want to hear first? Do you want to hear me weigh in on Caitlin Clark, or should I get into the Daniel Penny stuff first? Which one? Which one? I actually, well, I'm just looking here. I mean, if you're just listening, it doesn't affect you, but I have. Okay. Sorry, it's a technical thing. I was just trying to find my clips here that I have loaded up, and I'm getting to them now. Don't worry. Well, I guess I am not able mid-show to switch. Hold on one second. What a nightmare. Folks, I got to tell you, I hate technology. I hate technology. You know, you come in here to do a show or something like that, and you know, whatever. I'm just venting for a second. You know, and you got all these things you've got to fix and make sure are just right every time you do the show. And then you get in the show and it's like, I can't access my clips now. And I'll spare you the boring reasons why, but how annoying. I had clips set up I wanted to play. I was eager to play. And now it's just, by the way, this is how stupid the situation is. I basically have to redo the whole show under this other setting so I can play the clips, or I just say, screw it. I'm just going to keep going with what I'm doing. I'm not going to redo the entire show, the 21 minutes we've already spent together, and I'll just won't be able to share the clips with you. So I guess I won't be able to play the clips for you, which is just so annoying, but whatever. I'll have to explain them to you. Let's just talk about Caitlin Clark first. So she was announced as Athlete of the Year by Time Magazine, and Donald Trump, by the way, is Person of the Year. How about that? How about that? For the second time, by the way. So, you know, so many people were so excited about Caitlin Clark, who came out of college, and, you know, she was different. She didn't seem like a political activist. She was a very, very talented young woman. And of course, she went straight into the WNBA and became a star. And she plays for the Indiana Fever. And she was attacked. She was attacked by the left. And she was effectively attacked for being white. They were jealous of her being white and the most popular WNBA player, because the reality is the WNBA is supposed to be black. It's a black league for black women. They own it. And that's how they think about it. And that's what we're discovering now with what she's done, which is coming out in this Athlete of the Year interview with Time Magazine. And basically, she's apologizing for being white. And the reason I'm interested in talking about this story is not just to go through the rudimentary talking points of, oh, there goes it's that there's something that we can learn. Because the WNBA is effectively a microcosm for Washington, D.C. That is to say, the same way and behavior you see that disappoints you in Washington, D.C. from politicians like rhinos who constantly bend the knee to the left. It's the same thing that's happening in the WNBA in a smaller scale. So it's my hope that through talking about the effect this experience has had on Caitlin Clark and convincing her to bend the knee herself, that you will better understand and apply that to what's happening on a larger capacity with higher stakes in Washington, D.C. So anyway, by the way, part of getting named Time Magazine's Athlete of the Year, you know, it's all of this stuff is political. It's not just, hey, you have made such a big impact on the WNBA. You've made us more popular. You know, nobody even talked about the WNBA or paid attention to it before, but you brought in all these new fans. So you're going to be the Athlete of the Year, obviously, for your impact on your sport. That's not what it's about. It always has to be political for these people. There's always a political slant and intent behind it all. So there was no way she was going to be named Athlete of the Year without also bringing the political message that Time Magazine and the left wanted to convey. And it's just so disappointing. Well, let me get into what she said first, if you're not familiar. So she did this wide-ranging interview with Time, and she said, quote, "I want to say I've earned every single thing. She wants to say that. I want to say I've earned every single thing, but as a white person, there is privilege. Well, she goes on to say, a lot of those players in the league that have been really good have been black players. This league has kind of been built on them. The more we can appreciate that, highlight that, talk about that, and then continue to have brands and companies invest in those players that have made this league incredible, I think it's very important. So here is somebody who is apologizing for her own success. And she's basically saying, I don't deserve this recognition because I'm living in a black world, in a black league, and I have white skin, and they're the ones that built this league. I owe everything to these black players. That's who we need to recognize. I mean, have you ever heard such just drivel in your life? It makes me so sad for this young woman. And I can only imagine what she experiences in the WNBA. We know the types of players that she's surrounded by. We know that they are, despite many of them having gone to college, they have very low IQs. They're woke individuals. They are indoctrinated with this left-wing orthodoxy. And yes, most of them are black. And so they have this attitude of victimhood in the world, even though they're getting to play professional basketball without an audience. You realize the WNBA is a joke. I mean, honestly, it shouldn't exist. I'm not trying to offend female basketball players out there. I'm just telling you, as a matter of economics, it doesn't make any sense. And this year, it's going to lose $40 million. And do you know why the WNBA exists? It's because the NBA is successful, and they subsidize it, as do the owners of many of these NBA teams who have invested their own money as well into the WNBA. So they are trying desperately to make something that isn't naturally appealing to people appealing. Because if people wanted to watch women's professional basketball, they would. But they're putting all this money in there, and they're still not having a fantastic result. I mean, really, this league is a lot like the Kamala Harris campaign. $40 million in the hole. $40 million in the hole. And just for context, the NBA owns 60% of the WNBA. And when you factor in the NBA owners, their personal stakes in these WNBA teams as well, it's actually closer to 75%. So they have subsidized this league since its creation in 1996. And even with Clark, they're going to lose $40 million this year. And the NBA finals, just for comparison, averaged 12 million viewers per game. And the WNBA finals got a little over 1 million. Tucker Carlson on Fox News, when he was on Fox, he averaged about 4.5 million viewers every night. So Tucker Carlson's got 4.5 million people watching him. The NBA finals has 12 million viewers, and the WNBA has about 1 million. Maybe 1.2, 1.3, no more than 1.3 million. I mean, that's more viewers than MSNBC gets. That's more viewers than Rachel Maddow gets. That's more viewers than, CNN or ABC. So there's that. But as far as a sporting event goes, it's a complete and utter failure. And I love this quotation from Caitlin Clark here, who says this league has kind of been built on them, black players. It wasn't built on black women. Black women did not build the WNBA. White owners of NBA teams built the WNBA for black women to play on. So you should thank those white owners for giving you a job to begin with. And you can also thank the black and white and brown and whatever players in the in the NBA, the male league, that have made the money to invest in this failed enterprise, the WNBA. Most people know staying hydrated is essential to nearly every bodily function, but 75% of Americans still do not consume enough fluid daily. As we age, Natural bodily changes make staying hydrated even harder, especially without artificial additives or excess sugars. That is where Native Path comes in with extra help. Native Path's Hydrate is not just another drink mix. It's a thoughtfully designed formula packed with BCAAs and all 9 essential amino acids to help with muscle recovery and overall vitality. Plus, it's completely sugar-free. It's 100% natural. And with their Hydrate product, you can fuel your body with essential electrolytes at the cellular level for overall vitality. Unlike other hydration drink mixes that are designed for marathon runners, and they contain 1,000 milligrams of sodium, well, Native Hydrate contains just 230 milligrams of sodium for optimal daily hydration. It's free of artificial flavors, sugars, dyes. It's only 5 calories per serving. And right now, you can get up to 44% off just for being a listener of this show. Every order comes with a 365-day money-back guarantee, 2 free gifts plus free shipping. Visit nativehydrate.com/dailyclout to see what Native Hydrate could do for your health. Again, the site name is nativehydrate.com/dailyclout. And I just want to say this about Caitlin Clark. She's unextraordinary. She has extraordinary talent, but she's an unextraordinary person. And what's shocking, I mean, look, she's not the first person to do this, and I've been critical of them too. It has nothing to do with her being white or a woman or in the WNBA. It's the fact that she doesn't have courage. And it's a sad thing to see. And there has never been an easier time in recent years, certainly, but there's never been an easier time than now to actually reject the left. There's never been an easier time to stand up to them, because we have already done the work of pushing back against this type of messaging and ideology. Trump won the popular vote, and he won the Electoral College. The momentum has shifted, and yet she is going against it. At a moment in history when people have made it easy for her to be herself and not cave, she still chooses to cave. And that's what I don't understand about this. That's what I don't, well, I do. I'll get to it in a minute. But look, we saw Jack Del Rio, I think it was the defensive coordinator of the Washington Redskins. Yes, that name is hopefully coming back. I don't know. I mean, certainly the logo is, but I refuse to call them the Commanders. But the Washington Redskins, he was doing some post-game interview or pre-game interview or whatever. And he compared, J6 and the BLM riots. And he said that, J6 was a dust-up compared to the mayhem and murder and violence and burning and looting that took place on it. And he was forced to apologize. They basically threatened to take away his job. They were going to fine him. And so he bent the knee. And then we had Daryl Morey, who was the Houston Rockets general manager. He did the same thing. He posted a tweet back when it was Twitter, fight for freedom or stand with Hong Kong or whatever the phrase is. But, insinuating that Hong Kong should be free from China. And of course, China wants to seize Hong Kong as well. I mean, it's a convoluted situation over there. But I mean, effectively, our foreign policy on it doesn't make any sense. We say, Hong Kong does belong to China, but it doesn't. And it goes back to Britain and how Hong Kong came to. I mean, it's this whole thing. But anyway, Maury apologized as well, because you can't offend the Chinese. And John Cena, he's not an athlete. I mean, he was a wrestler, but now he's in Hollywood. He was over there in China promoting one of his films. This is all under the Biden administration. And he just, made a comment or something about, now I can't remember if it was Hong Kong or Taiwan related, but the Chinese didn't like it. And he issued an apology in Mandarin. So this is what these people do. And it's always just, just disgusting. But the thing I don't understand about Caitlin Clark is, who does she think her fan base is? right? All this conversation and excitement about the WNBA suddenly that is focused on her and her talent in the league. Who are those supporters? Let me give you a hint. They're not Democrats. They're right-leaning, conservative, rational Americans who reject the woke bullcrap and want it out of our sports, want it out of everything. And so she can thank, and the WNBA can thank, actually, not me personally, because I actually don't watch the WNBA or care, but many people like me who are conservative, right-leaning, they have been praising and following the WNBA and talking about Caitlin Clark, and most importantly, they have been defending her. She's been under attack for being white. She has been physically attacked on the court, and she has been a target in the WNBA. And we have seen what they were trying to do to her. They were trying to break her. They were trying to bring her down. They did not want her to rise. And we came to her defense, and we encouraged her, and we uplifted her, and we did everything we could to support her. And now she comes out and she says thank you by saying F you. She chose the very team, the very side, the very people that have been attacking her. And that's what's amazing to me. She is snubbing her supporters. The WNBA is basically, I mean, it's unbelievable how they choose ideology over pragmatism every single time. So I say let the WNBA waste away again. I don't care. I don't care. And it should. It should. You know, most people got into watching the WNBA, not because they were excited by women's basketball. They weren't. But there was an emotional attachment to cheering this underdog. And so it was her story that was compelling. It wasn't watching her dribble the basketball. I'd rather watch a man dunk the ball all day long than any female, no matter how talented she is, try and do the same on the court. It's just that's the reality. It's not as exciting. There's certain women's sports out there that are exciting, but this isn't one of them. When you have a male sport and a female sport side by side, it's a no-brainer. And that's not controversial. But anyway, you know, they want to get paid more, and yeah, it's not fair. Yeah, it's not fair that you even have a job because you don't have any viewers or make any money. You're being subsidized. So anyway, you know, and you know, Caitlin Clark, you know, she's a college-educated person. She's a lefty. She's not a conservative. She is a liberal. I mean, there were evidence of this. I think she made headlines in September. She liked a message from Taylor Swift endorsing Vice President Kamala Harris. So we know that. But this is a consequence of indoctrination. And I mean, here is somebody who is the target of that very indoctrination, and she still cannot shake herself from that worldview. Now, this is what she's surrounded by every day in the WNBA, the politics, the players. None of them think like we do. They're very racist, actually. The way they talk and the way she's talking is racist, too. You getting this doesn't say anything against black people. It simply says that you're a talent and you deserve recognition. That's it. It doesn't denigrate black people or their achievements on the court. You are getting the award. So, but in Washington, D.C., it's similar. You know, she kowtowed to the environment around her rather than her supporters. So she lives in this, has a kind of microscopic experience that defies reality. So her world is the WNBA. Like, think about this. All this wokeness is not popular. We pushed back against it, and we're now going the opposite direction. It is receding. And she is choosing to go against the tide here. Go against the flow. She's making it difficult for herself. And, you know, she cares about this award from Time Magazine. She cares about what the players think about her. She doesn't care what the American, because, you know, she's not in the room with me, hanging out with me. Her life is spent around lunatics. And, you know, maybe she's one too. I mean, if she voted for Kamala Harris, she is a little nutty. But again, that's where she's coming from. And DC's the same way. They're insulated. They're not exposed to reality. They're exposed to whatever's there. And all the accolades and all the awards and all these accomplishments and all these, attaboys and attagirls that are built into the system, Time Magazine, Athlete of the Year, these coveted things, those are run by lefties. And so the things that they're striving to achieve and the people they're looking to seek approval from that impact their lives directly are lefties. So it doesn't matter that in reality her support is all coming from the right. She wants this Time Magazine Athlete of the Year award. That's what matters to her. What matters to her is her black friends there accept her. And that's what your politicians in D.C. do. They try and appeal to the media. They want CNN to say nice things about them. They want, the people in D.C., which is, 99.9% lib. That's where they're going to restaurants. That's where they're playing golf. And they want to appease those people and not you, not their supporters, because their life is lived in a bubble that is libs. And as long as you live in an environment that has that kind of pressure, you can't see clearly. And maybe you don't want to. Maybe you don't want to. All right, open up a gold IRA with Birch Gold Group and get free silver coins shipped directly to your home. That's right. It's the most wonderful time of the year. The time of the year when Birch Gold gives away a free silver American Eagle coin for every $5,000 purchased. And here's the best part. You don't have to pay a penny out of pocket. By December 20th, simply convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in precious metals, and Birch Gold will send you free silver coins directly to your home. Now, you might be thinking, why do I need to diversify into gold? My guy's headed to D.C. Things are good. Here's the facts. An administration trying to put a dent in a $36 trillion national debt in just 4 years is like a field mouse trying to stop a freight train. We can't even afford to pay the interest on the debt, let alone the principal. So better be safe than sorry. Take action now to protect your savings. Text the word Daily Clout to 989898 for a free info kit on gold and to claim your eligibility for free silver on your purchase from Birch Gold. But you must do this by December 20th. Again, text Daily Clout to the number 989898 for peace of mind that lasts longer than 4 years. So anyway, there's Caitlin Clark. Poor girl. Poor girl. We spend all this energy trying to help these people, and they just can't be helped because they won't help themselves. Now, this is a little frustrating, like I was saying. I wanted to play some clips. Daniel Penny, who's the guy on the subway that put Jordan Neely in a chokehold, the mentally ill, homeless, violent person. First off, I want to explain what happened, what we learned in this case. Now, Neely, the black individual who was homeless and violent, he didn't die right then and there. You had whether it was the paramedics or whatever first responders came to render him aid, he was alive when they arrived. But they decided and were told not to issue him mouth-to-mouth resuscitation because they feared he had a disease, that they could get sick. So where do you want to put the blame? But the blame ultimately, he had no intention to hurt this person. And in the clip that I do not have, unfortunately, Daniel Penny gave an interview and he talked about how, look, I'm not a confrontational person, but I couldn't live with myself if I didn't intervene and something had happened to somebody because I was there and I had to protect them. And he felt the need to protect them, and he couldn't live with himself if he didn't take action and do something. He was a good Samaritan. He did do what he believed was the right thing to do. And he did not murder this person. Anyway, we just had a trial, and he was exonerated anyway. He's found not guilty. And the clips I wanted to play were a couple of BLM people that are calling for riots. Do we have to burn and break glass every time this happens? I mean, it's a threat. It's unbelievable. These people are unhinged. Well, where there is a will, there is a way, and I have a strong will, and I have my clips here in my fingertips here. I want to play you the reaction from some of these BLM leaders in New York to the not guilty verdict. Here's one.
We need some black vigilantes.
That's right.
People want to jump up and choke us and kill us for being loud. How about we do the same when they attempt to oppress us?
Right.
I'm tired.
I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm tired of your bullcrap. Shut the hell up. All right. How about that, you lunatic? Here's another asylum escapee from BLM.
People who keep asking, are we going to riot? Are we going to protest? Is that what's needed? Do glass have to break? Do cars have to burn for a black man to get justice in America? We can't show up with peace. We can't show up with facts. We can't show up with evidence and witness after witness. You give us nothing. And then you ask us to love this country. America hates black people, and we see it from that jury pool.
Oh, how backwards is her worldview? Actually, people like her hate white people, and they hate America. America does not hate black people. White people in America don't hate black people. People like me don't give a crap what your color is. But what I can tell from that clip, regardless of your skin color, is that you're a raving mad lunatic. You have been indoctrinated and oppressed, yes, by the party that you support, the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party did this to these particular black individuals, sowed the seeds of hatred in their hearts so that they react this way. Now, you know, Daniel Penny, yeah, so he gave his interview, and actually I will just play a little bit for you now. This is the interview. So, I mean, there's all this talk about Daniel Penny, and I have a feeling that a lot of people out there, maybe they've seen pictures of him, but they have no idea who this person is. And this is what's so disgusting and reprehensible about the media, the way they, well, fabricate personalities. Trump is Hitler. You know, you meet Trump and he's nothing like anything they say. Same thing with Daniel Penny here. Here's the individual.
I mean, I'm not a confrontational person. I don't really extend myself. I think this type of thing is very uncomfortable. All this attention and limelight is very uncomfortable. And I would prefer without it. I didn't want any type of attention or praise, and I still don't. Mm-hmm. The guilt I would have felt if someone did get hurt, if he did do what he was threatening to do, would never be able to live with myself. And I'll take 1 million court appearances and people calling me names and people hating me just to keep one of those people from getting hurt or killed.
Now, the left, by the way, so that's what Daniel Penny said there. You heard it for yourself. Now, you might remember somebody named Michael Byrd. On January 6th, the only person who died of unnatural cause was Ashley Babbitt, the small, petite, short, former military veteran who was shot and killed by Michael Byrd outside the Capitol building. And Michael Byrd never went to trial, and he was held up as a hero. And as a matter of fact, he went on NBC with Lester Holt and professed to be a hero himself. Listen to what Michael Byrd said, the individual who murdered Ashley Babbitt, shot her in the chest.
I followed my training, and I spent countless years and preparing for such a moment. You ultimately hope that moment never occurs, but you prepare as best you can. I know that day I saved countless lives. I know members of Congress as well as my fellow officers and staff were in jeopardy and in serious danger. And that's my job.
So that was a clip, by the way, in the past that NBC put out to promote itself and this interview with him. So he's proud of himself. He trained for that moment. And, you know, he'd do it again. He saved lives, he said. By killing Ashley Babbitt, he saved lives. Now, why weren't these same black BLM activists upset when Ashley Babbitt was shot and killed by Michael Byrd? Well, because they have a narrative fixed in their mind. And I'm going to get into explaining in a second. Just the specific type of affliction these Democrats and leftists have out there, because their judgment is based only on one thing in scenarios like this. But so you have that. I mean, it's a tale of two incidents, right? On the one hand, you have Ashley Babbitt murdered by Michael Byrd, shot dead, and on the other, that's a black man murdering a white woman. And in this case, you have a subway incident where a white man is worried about the safety of the people around him. He doesn't shoot Jordan Neely. He puts him in a chokehold of sorts or whatever it was to prevent him from lashing out and becoming violent because he was becoming a threat. And the people on the subway testified to that effect, that they were scared for their lives. But BLM is saying in this particular circumstance, this is oppression. This is about targeting Black people. Unbelievable. Now, so Michael Byrd's a hero to the left. And by the way, we have to bring up Luigi, what's his name, Mangione again? The individual who's been accused of murdering the healthcare executive, CEO. Well, Luigi's a hero and Michael Byrd's a hero. Both actually used a gun to kill their victims, I guess. But these are icons, truly. I mean, this is some of the stuff that's been said about Luigi. By the way, his socialist University of Pennsylvania professor. That's where Luigi went to school, I think, for undergrad and then graduate school as well. But anyway, this professor has recently made her social media accounts private. And she's taken down her TikTok account because she went viral after celebrating the fact that Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare, was killed by a graduate of the Ivy League school, University of Pennsylvania. And she wrote, "Have never been prouder to be a professor at the University of Pennsylvania. Have never been prouder." Now, there are other things too, but the point is she's out there celebrating this. This is an icon, a hero to her because he's a University of Pennsylvania grad. This is a University of Pennsylvania professor, a socialist. And these are the people educating your children, by the way. These are the people populating academia. There is a problem that we have to eventually address in that system, of course. But there's your University of Pennsylvania professor. So Daniel Penny's a villain in this, right? But Michael Byrd's a hero to the left. You've got Luigi now, who's a hero to the left. And the left's judgment in these matters is based on one thing. Do you know what that is? Do you know what their judgment is in these scenarios? It's based on who dies. Who was killed and murdered or murdered. So, Ashley Babbitt, of course, was a Trump supporter. So her death, that's a good thing. So her killer is automatically a hero because he killed a Trump supporter. Brian Thompson was a health insurance executive, CEO. So his murderer, Luigi, the University of Pennsylvania graduate, he's a hero. And they're happy that Ashley Babbitt's dead because she was a Trump supporter. And they're happy that Brian Thompson's dead because he represented the evils of private health insurance. I mean, and I just want to say something else too. A lot of people out there think they're celebrating, the rational people out there, they're celebrating this verdict of not guilty, of course, and they're celebrating this as evidence that we got justice. Daniel Penny got justice. He didn't get justice because this trial never should have been brought in the first place. Michael Byrd was never prosecuted. He never had to go through this situation, and they were trying to put this guy in prison for life. Those were the stakes of this case, and thankfully he got off. But the whole trial was an injustice because we knew all the facts. We didn't need a jury to sit there. This was an innocent person that was forced to go between a court so that the radical left and the Democrats could try to put him in prison. They tried to make an innocent man guilty. This is what they did with Donald Trump, by the way. This is what the left's view of the justice system is. This is how they view their role. By the way, FBI Director Christopher Wray has announced that he's going to resign before Trump comes into office. So he can't take the heat. He doesn't want to be fired. He doesn't want to be humiliated by Trump. So he's announced that he's going to resign. But anyway, like I said, back to the Daniel Penny thing, the people showed up to resuscitate Jordan Neely. And, they administered CPR, but they only gave him chest compressions. They didn't breathe into his mouth. Would that have saved his life? I don't know. But they didn't do it, and they didn't do it because they were afraid they would get a disease. And yet Daniel Penny they want to put in jail. So, they did this to Kyle Rittenhouse, of course. So this is it, Who dies determines the left's judgment and the value of it. So, if a Trump supporter or healthcare CEO is murdered, that's a good thing, even if it's a murder, and intentional and so on and so forth. But really, really unbelievable. And I'm not going to get into this. I wanted to explain a little bit about why we have this violence in America, why we do have these mass shootings and so on and so forth. We do have problems in America. We have mental health crisis in America. We have lots of problems in America, and 95% of it is rooted in the Democrat Party. It is what they have done to this country and the education system, with their lies, with their media. They are responsible for this. You'll notice there's more radical lunatics, the more radical left, the Democrat Party goes. You notice that there's a correlation there. There's a correlation there. But when you preach that abortion is something to be celebrated, and this is something I was just thinking about. It is related. But the main issue with abortion and why we should fight to oppose it is because of the moral consequences of accepting it as this so-called right. So the First Amendment, right, free speech, that is a constitutional right. The Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, that's an amendment we're familiar with. And so what do you do to use those rights? You speak. You talk without fear of reprisal. You buy a gun for self-defense because that's your right that you're exercising. So they require activity. So when they say abortion is a right, how does someone celebrate that right? They have to get an abortion, right? They have to get an abortion. If abortion is a right and you're celebrating a woman's right to choose, well, the only right they're really talking about is not to give birth to the baby. They're talking about the right to abort the baby. And so in order to celebrate that right, you have to get an abortion. And so it becomes like a ribbon. It becomes like a gold medal to get an abortion in this country. And this is the problem with the direction of the entire argument. The Democrat Party went from safe, legal, and rare to this, infanticide, up until birth. And if you do not respect life, the most innocent and precious life, that of the unborn, then what kind of atmosphere does that create afterward in this country, in any country? If you do not respect and revere and protect the unborn who can't defend itself, well, then you don't really care about life at all. And you develop a culture that doesn't revere life, whether it's at a young age or older. And it does start with that mentality. If your mentality is, I don't care, it's a selfish mentality. It's, this is good for me. I don't want to be inconvenienced. I'm gonna abort the baby. Or, the Democrat Party tells me I'm a hero if I get an abortion, which is true. That's what they do. And so you do it. Think about the shift in your mind that takes place. So this is what we're dealing with, and that's why it's such a critical, important issue. But I do want to play this last clip here. The little mini dictator Castro's son, offspring, Justin Trudeau, just was humiliated by Donald Trump. He came down to Mar-a-Lago to beg Trump not to implement 25% tariffs on Canada, admitting right off the bat in his spectacular negotiating with his spectacular negotiating abilities. Trump, you can't do this. If you do this, you'll totally destroy the entire economy of Canada. Okay, well, you better listen closely, little dictator, and do what we say. So Trudeau is offended. He doesn't like, he knows what the media said. He knows that, not me, but he knows that people are speaking about him this way. And he knows what we think of him. And he was just put in his place. So after that, he goes out and he talks about the American election. And listen to what he had to say.
Now, it shouldn't be that way. It wasn't supposed to be that way. We were supposed to be on a steady, if difficult sometimes, march towards progress. And yet, just a few weeks ago, the United States voted for a second time to not elect its first woman president. Everywhere, women's rights and women's progress is under attack, overtly and subtly. But I want you to know that I am, and always will be, a proud feminist. You will always have an ally in me and in my government.
I'm sorry, what is his gender and sex? Is Justin Trudeau a man or not? So the feminist there that is criticizing America for not electing on two separate occasions when given the opportunity to do so, not electing two communist women in this country, that's evidence that we have not made progress. And yet he has, he's a man. So you have a male prime minister of Canada condemning America for not electing a woman. Why does he not give up his job and offer it to a woman? Huh? If he's such a feminist and America is such a bad place, because I don't pay attention to Canadian elections. I haven't in the past. I don't know if they've ever had a woman run or not. But certainly Canada hasn't elected a female there. I'm not familiar with Canada's history, but obviously the current prime minister, and this is his second or third term he's on now. Lifetime dictator here, Trudeau. So yes, Trudeau. Thank you. Yes. I would just like to say is, I don't know. America, they were on the road to progress and they did. So he's saying we didn't make the right choice and he's insulting America. And I say, let's bring Canada to its knees. Let's make sure the Canadian people know that this little dictator is trouble for us and for them. And let them feel the pain of having elected such a man. He is an enemy of America, by the way, Justin Trudeau. He has made Canada not an ally, but a threat to America. Their open border policy has hurt America and is responsible for murder in America. So there are myriad reasons that he needs to get in check, and we should do it. And the Canadian people should know that, hey, we don't have anything against you, but you have an awful leader who is going to bring immense pain, economic pain upon you. And so it's in your best interest, Canadians, to either annex yourselves to America, you can become the 51st state, or otherwise you can elect someone else, maybe a woman to prove that you aren't rotten, misogynistic human beings over there in Canada. All you polite people. Why did you elect a man? Where's your female prime minister? Where's your progress over there? So anyway, that's all I guess for today. But once again, this drone stuff is driving me crazy. And again, it's just amazing and convenient what the U.S. government can figure out and solve and what they cannot. And when it came to the pipe bomb that was planted on January 6th, they couldn't seem to find that individual. But, they found Mangione, the guy who shot the CEO of United Healthcare. They were, somebody phoned in at a McDonald's and said they saw him. They tipped him off. Maybe they wouldn't have found him otherwise. But the point is, they did track him down. But when it comes to national security and a spy balloon flying all the way across our country or drones flying over New Jersey, we have no information for you, America. No information whatsoever. All right. This is Drew Allen, your millennial minister of truth. God bless you all. And until next time.